welcome to Bible Over a Beer. I'm Randy.
I'm Steve.
Clink. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are we discussing today,
We
Steve?
are discussing Psalms.
150-ish, 50 chapters?
150 chapters. It is, full disclosure, it's a challenge to read, and we did it all. We're doing it all in one video, mainly because it is kind of, I'm going to say, looking at a bunch of different cross references to kind of get some understanding, because it is a lot of poetry. There's a lot of songs that are in it, but nobody seems to know what the music to the psalms are, or at least the music to each psalm in the early parts of them. And I kind of liken that to, this is translated into English from, I guess I'm not certain, this wasn't Greek, this would have been Hebrew because it's Old Testament. True. It's kind of like a narrative broken down, kind of, that covers, I guess you can call it the Torah, the book of Moses, all the way up to Kings.
Sure.
But what I was saying about poetry and stuff, it's not rhyming poetry like we know it, and it's not even other kinds. It's just interesting how they,
Yeah. Was it meant to be sung? Was it meant to be
some
spoken?
And that's what I was getting at, is the parts that were supposed to be sung, if it was in Hebrew, maybe that's when you could sing it and it makes sense. But and it's kind of like, you kind of like it to the O Tannenbaum, it's all Christmas tree. I don't think it's think it's anywhere along the lines. And they even said on some of the cross-referencing I'm looking at, like Bible for Dummies again, this is definitely helpful, because I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't call it a challenge to read, because it was kind of flowing. A lot of stuff is flowing, but understanding what it really meant. Sometimes you can see in the later things or parts of when you knew they're David, it kind of referenced the chapter from when David was like being chased by Saul or Saul's men. I got that, and it takes a lot of cross-referencing.
Yeah.
To do that. Some interesting notes. They're out of 150. A lot of them are very short. And then there's 119. Psalm 119 is the longest. It's like the Hebrew alphabet maybe, and then for each book or chapter in it, it was pretty interesting. So a lot to them. I mean, you could spend. You can really spend a year or two studying the Psalms, I think, just understanding where they came from. There's still a lot of them that are unknown. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I went online probably more to search about Psalms than any other book that we've referenced or read so far. And it's all going to be speculative as far as, who wrote Psalms, over what period of time was it written? Was it written by many different people over centuries? Yep. Did David actually write some of it? Did Solomon actually write some of it? Did Moses actually write some of it? Nobody can say for sure.
Yeah. But it was put together, and obviously there's, of course, the Bible was God's, he motivated man to put it together, right? And it's his words, as we have learned, are learning too. So it's pretty astounding how they did take these and put them together. And I don't, still, I think the point of it is there's a lot of ones individually you can take, versus a lot of people quote scripture in the Bible, maybe a paragraph, and it might be dynamic, but you can misunderstand the meaning because you have to. That's a phrase that goes with the whole chapter, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like we live in political times now. They take somebody's sentence and put it in a different order without context, and and it could be also the other way. It could be positive too. So, but the cross referencing, I got some new things I'm going to share with you too, you Randy, as well as if I can get them up. These are called These are commentaries, the Bible Knowledge Commentary. This came up a lot in understanding, but what it basically does, this is the Old Testament, and this is the New Testament. So you can see it's a lot thicker because of the Old Testament, but it breaks down every sentence, and basically this is man's interpretation, right? So of God's word.
Okay.
So it helps you understand different ways. It helps you come to your own decision better. So I want to see. I haven't looked into it yet. I looked at a few things, but I thought it was, you can get these kind of like $40 off Amazon. Normally at $100 and some dollars.
Wow, that's a good
and
deal.
there's a lot. Like I want to get Strong's Concordance, but that's. We're not.
So for full disclosure, if somebody goes on Amazon and purchases, you're not making any money, correct?
Absolutely not. Yeah. And you can buy it anywhere. Hopefully you can buy it at your local bookstore. That's where I would have, but I'm lazy.
Right.
So,
So what amazes me about Psalms is, well, first of all, poetry's never been my thing. All right. So trying to get through this book, we took 2 weeks, couple days to read through it. We were thinking we'd do it in a week, and no, we couldn't do it in a week. So
it's a lot of reading.
it's a lot of reading, and if you're reading a lot in one day, like I did for a couple days, your brain starts to sort of fade off. I mean, my recommendation for you was go at your pace. I feel like I crammed it in a couple of weeks, and I probably could have used a month comfortably, and set myself like really, 30 days, divide that into 150 and really set myself to read that certain amount. I crammed it in. But what I find amazing about it is 150, possibly written by a group of people or many people, and the fact that they were all organized and put into this book the way that they were, that tells you something. I mean, when you read these, this is God's hand.
Definitely, yeah. I mean,
helping put this book together. It's absolutely mind-blowing that something like this could come together.
Yeah, and every video we reference, seems like every video, the Bible Project videos, and they do a really good job of not really explaining Psalms and like the chapters and like books you do, because there's a lot of content here, and it is a poetic reaccount of a lot of situations. Maybe not exactly what happens, but like when David's being pursued, or there's one, I can't remember the psalm now, but there's a psalm, I didn't know it at first because again it takes so much to, like Randy said, I think you're going to go back and read these, use cross references to read these, because they all earn perspective to stories you've read or are going to read. And this adds, maybe the first party, like David was writing when he had an affair with Bathsheba and killed her husband on the battle. I mean, he didn't send him out. Yeah, there was a whole psalm on it. Yeah. Now, it doesn't guarantee that it does, but the whole, basically, they said there's no way you can really not come to the conclusion it was David. So,
and if you've read the other books before Psalms, the books that we've all read, you're going to get to a sentence and go, hey, wait a minute, I know that. I read about that. So they're all little tidbits in there. Another thing too is Psalms has been mentioned in Chronicles, which we've already read. David introduced Psalms for temple prayer. That was in 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 7 through 36. And another one was Solomon, who came after David, used Psalms for holy days like Passover. 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 15. And also he used it for encouragement for battles. Encourages men and rile them up. 2 Chronicles, book 20, verse 20 through 21.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, there's, like, as I started trying to understand it, you're starting to see, and as we're reading, just generally the Bible, and I apologize for being stupid, but this is the first time both of us are reading cover to cover, and me taking it even more serious. You're starting to see like cross references. You go back to another section, and I'm like, all of a sudden, wow, okay, the light comes on. So, I think Psalms is one place that really opens it up, but that's why it would take forever to really do it. So I'm thinking that it's one of those things where read through it, find out what touches you, what doesn't, and then as you read further, you might go back and reflect. Or if once you, like I said, if you're joining us on this journey of cover to cover, it's not going to be the first read we do, but our goal is to try to get through it and understand it, and then go back, reread, because it's a lifelong study. And even though we're starting a little late to do this, I don't think there's a late time, but
no, we might live forever. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, we're
not here. That's for sure.
No.
Death and taxes.
So I guess we can't keep reiterating what we've already said, but it's condensing some of the stories that we've already read, or some of the messages, right? Such as, there's a lot of themes in the Bible that Psalm. So, the importance of relying on God and His Word. I mean, we've read that over and over and over in different ways, and different people saying it different ways, but that's sort of the theme, and you will find that in Psalms. God's sovereignty and rule over all people and nation, teaching us ways to worship, such as singing, dancing, giving thanks, etc.
That's a big important part, is singing and dancing. There's a lot of historical, at least older movies and stuff, where you always saw like strict Christians didn't sing or dance. It's like, it's in Psalms talking about it. That was what they did. So mean,
You
again,
remember David when they were carrying the ark?
yeah, oh yeah, he was skipping hop. Yeah,
Skipping and dancing, and his
For
wife
all
was
the-
looking at him like he was a madman.
oh, she was a mad lady. So,
But
but anyway, so the
right.
important question is for all of you guys too, and like and comment, or well, like, comment, subscribe for sure. But comment on the question: favorite psalm. Probably everybody's. I'm certain if we are.
there's 150 chapters in this, man. It is hard to find a favorite.
So
Did you find a favorite?
I did find a favorite.
All right, go ahead and read yours.
Mine's-
'Cause I wrote down like six or seven. So let me go through them and while you read yours.
Well, okay. Okay. So that brings out something pretty cool. Woo-hoo. I'm going to read from a pretty special thing that I was blessed to get from our family. This is the Holy Bible. I think it's close to King James. It's very, very, very old. But my favorite psalm is the 23rd song. I don't know what about it. That one, and I have
Yep.
another one that comes a close second. I'll share at the end. But I'm going to read it. Unfortunately, you have to bear with me. But that's something.
What I love about chapter 23 is, I was telling Steve this earlier, is most people, I know I've heard it, you're going to recognize the first sentence,
Yep. Yep.
whether you've read it or
So,
not.
exactly. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me into the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me with all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Just something about that. It just touches your soul. So I apologize for
There's
smashing.
many.
Yes.
We're just picking one, but I don't think I have just one, because there's many that really spoke to me and touched my heart. But I'm going to go with chapter 154, verse 8 through 9. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. The Lord is good to all, and his mercy is over all that he has made. The Lord upholds all who are falling and raises up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all look to you, and you give them their food in due season. You open their hand, you satisfy the desire of every living thing.
Yeah, that's one. I'm now just hearing it, and like I said, we can go on and on. You're still allowed to like the same one as I liked.
Yeah,
But this is the best.
I
But
just didn't want to read it again. You know.
well, no, I
Just kidding.
I thought maybe I was just gonna, because it's a short enough one and everybody likes it, and I like the verbiage and the cadence to the.
Yeah.
I think that's King James, at least. I think that's what, because this is a very old Bible. There's another one I like, was 121. That was my help comes from the Lord. There's a lot of Christian songs. That's a verse in. And then something I didn't, while I was kind of just doing some more research, and I didn't notice, I noticed it when I read it, but it didn't dawn on me, which was the 22nd Psalm, which is the one right before this. This is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Which is, if you watch a lot of Christian movies, Eli, Eli, lama azavante, which means, is a horrible version of the Hebrew or whatever the original text it was in, or not text, but language that I'm looking for.
Thank you.
But that's the same thing that Jesus said on the cross, right? So here's in Psalms,
Yeah.
and there's so anyways, but that was pretty cool. A couple interesting things. Another interesting thing before Psalm 137, I didn't think anything of it, but there's been 3 artists that have actually written songs about it. Don McLean, Bob Marley, and they call it a disco band called Boney M. Although it sounds a lot like Bob Marley's version. I listened to all 3 versions, and I didn't quite like Don McLean's. It's something about Babylon. But the Bob Marley version and the Boney M, they're actually pretty good songs, and we've heard them before.
Okay.
So if you listen to it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Psalms has inspired modern day
Yeah, wouldn't call them modern day, but yeah, our
past
day. Yeah.
musicians and our generation or whatever.
Well, there's a
you call
lot.
it.
I mean, all the Christian music is covered from, and all scripture. There's as inspiration from it,
Yeah.
and a lot of, I think a lot of No, I wouldn't say go as far as Zeppelin songs, but because I think that's more of Lord of the Rings stuff. But there's a lot of them. But I thought it was pretty cool. I mean,
There will be tidbits in here that really sort of wake you up. You know what I mean? I was trying to speed read it here the last couple days, which is not good. I'm going to have to go back and slow down so that I think I can appreciate it a little bit more. It was more work for me, unfortunately, than sort of just really trying to enjoy what I was reading. But little tidbits would jump out at me that sort of woke me up. I was like, oh, okay. You know, kind of brought me back a little bit if I was starting to drift. And yeah, you get sort of warm, fuzzy feelings inside. It really touches you, you know.
yeah, at the end of the day, why did we decide instead of breaking it up? It's because we didn't find.
Yeah.
I didn't find. Well, we and both didn't find like the other books. There's actually like a theme and a story to it. These are as well, but it's more poetic, first party accounts or different things you're supposed to do. So it wasn't like, you know, I find it hard to kind of like, I don't know, just it's a challenge. Just put it that way. You got to almost take them piece by piece, and then that's like when I started getting more information. So
Sure. Yeah, just the general overall. I mean, what we've read so far, there's ups, there's downs.
it's broken into that, right? You've watched the Bible Project. There's like 5 books, and the first one is more like lament, which is, you know, help me, and the other one's the end of it's praise, and in the middle there's some
Sort of the ups and downs of the Jews wandering through they would sort of leave God behind, and then when they fell into trouble, they would go back to Him, and sort of have to sort of remember that not to just pick up the Bible and read it when you're feeling down. You know, you can be feeling up for a long time and things are rolling good. But, you know, Steve and I have talked about this before where I've sort of felt like I'm riding this high wave, but at the same time, I don't feel completely satisfied. Why is that? And you'll pick up the Bible and you'll start to read.
Yes.
And I think it sort of fills a little hole that we're all searching to fill. We think it's out there somewhere, maybe in a brand new car or maybe in a new house or, you know, doing something, but buying something, but it's not. It's in the Bible. The words in the Bible are what's going to help you see that hole up.
And that's sincere. I mean, hopefully that you got that as well, because that's the whole point of reading it, to understand it. And I mean, just as I've gone in this journey, you know, we're taking our time in certain sections. Obviously, Psalms we're not, because. But I would say my recommendation now, knowing if you do a cross reference, if you're using a study Bible, and you're reading, if you're behind us or reading again, it does reference Psalms, and then it will put that into more perspective. I wish now I'm using the Bible app, and we switched the English Standard Version, and I know the NIV version, which I do like, and I think we could stick with it up, and just have to be aware, like I shared in older videos, that you know, they take out fasting and praying, which is so weird, but I don't, you know, didn't like that. Yeah. The point is that has cross references in it, and I found myself in those early chapters doing that. So I think I'm going to get, you know, I do have a Zondervan Bible that is NIV with cross references, so I might break out the old and then this thing too. So, anyways, that's pretty much about it for Psalms. We made that a little longer.
The longest book we've read so far, but probably the shortest video we've had to make, and that's, you know, we basically sort of covered it. Now, if you want to learn more, or you're interested in maybe going online and searching about more details behind it, be careful what you're watching. You know, again, it's people's opinions and whatnot. But you know, there's some interesting stuff out there. So
yeah, so everything you use, I'll make sure that's stayed to the Bible, right? So, and that's why I got these commentaries, and there's all kinds of books that they reference and cross-reference the Bible. So just be careful, because, you know, people distort lots of things. So
next book
is Proverbs. So
that's another long one, right?
I don't know. I didn't look ahead that far.
Well,
so
look ahead and comment. How long is Proverbs?
Yeah, and then, or even just comment, period, to say, you know, because want everybody to join the journey.
Please comment.
Well, mainly just so we all learn the God's word. That's the whole point. Right. So at the end of the day, we're in with Psalms on to the next one.
Read Psalms. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you're reading along with us, and we will see you next time.
You all come back now, you hear?